Hello, I am so excited about this video. I know I'm way over this way, but that's because a screen will come up very shortly over here. It is time for my 2023 Storygraph wrap-up. This is one of my favourite things about using Storygraph. I love the statistics and the pie charts and everything. So I'm gonna start recording now, and it will appear here, and we're gonna have a look through. This is totally blind. It's the 3rd of January when I'm filming this, so I'm excited. And I know I've read a lot of books this year, but I don't know exactly how many, and I'm excited to find out. Your 2023 reading wrap-up. Oh my goodness. No. This says that I read 74 books. That can't be right. There's no way I read that many. I know I read a lot, but 74? That's insane. I don't think I've ever read that many. I don't even think I've ever made it to 52, which is always my goal. I can't believe that. If that's true, wow. Wow. 8,759 pages and 473.32 hours. That's actually a lot of pages. This can't be right. Because most of the books I read this year were audiobooks. I have questions. Although I guess 473 hours probably is a lot when the average audiobook is about 10 to 12 hours. Interesting. The first book I read was After the Party. I very barely remember that. And my last book was, of course, How to Make a Million Before Lunch. The Nude Map. Pretty average, really. A bit lighter in February, and then a bit darker March through June, and then it kind of went up again. But really, overall, I would say that's quite average. It's not really going very far up or very far down. Roller coaster, blah blah blah. Most of the stories developed at a steady pace. Oh, here we go. Books read, pages read, minutes listened. Yes, June I know was my worst month. Leave me alone. To be fair, June is when I started working on the ship, so I think I had to focus a bit more on figuring out what I was doing. But then August, look at August. I listened to almost 10,000 minutes in August. That's crazy. And I read 15 books, wow. I think that is the month that I read one every 2 days. I do actually vaguely remember that from my favourites. I love that I started the year off quite strong and then just dropped down, and then August really picked it back up and then went back down. I love this. You can see that the pages read is so little compared to the minutes, but that's because I did a lot more audiobook reading. I beat my goal by 296%. Not bad. Genres, fantasy. Really? Has this tracked something that I've totally forgotten about? Doesn't it? Let me see. No. I hope we find out more about how that happened. Contemporary, young adult, romance, and historical. I am really surprised there's no non-fiction on there, but I wonder if we'll see that later. The longest book, yes, was definitely Les Miserables. I'm not surprised about that at all, and that was 58 hours. In fact, I think I read that in April. Is that over here? Maybe it was March. It might have been March, because that's got more minutes listened, but I don't know. My shortest book was Quidditch Through the Ages, fair enough. The average length of the books was 373 pages, and the average length of time it took to finish was 10 days per book. I would have expected it would be closer to 7 days. I would have thought one a week, but fair enough. I know that there were some that definitely took me longer. Spent the least amount of time reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I can't believe that that's the shortest one, because that is the longest Harry Potter book. But that must have been a day that I just wasn't doing anything else. I did spend the most time on When We Were Very Young. That is because it was a physical copy book, and I started reading it and then had to wait till I got back to the UK to finish reading it, so fair enough. Spent the most time with J.K. Rowling, yep, that's totally fair, because I reread all the Harry Potter books, and that's why there is fantasy. That makes a lot of sense. I forgot that I'd done that at the start of the year. And that was actually because of Taskmaster. Michael Palin, yes, 2, yes, because it was Erebus and the North Korea one, and then Emily Henry I also read 2, and that was Book Lovers and You and Me on Vacation. So that makes sense. And then I don't think there were any other authors that I read more than one book of, so I'm quite happy about that. My average rating was 3.85. I'm not really surprised. I feel like I generally give 4 stars, but I do know there were a couple of 3.5 stars that I gave this year, so that's probably what's brought the average down. Ooh! Oh, well, fair enough that that's a 5-star read, but that's the only one. And to be honest, that version of the book was not my favourite by any means. It was a very frustrating audio experience. Here we go. Oh my goodness, what did I give 2 stars? Doesn't let me click into it. That's very annoying. But yes, as I said, most of them, 24 books, were 4 stars. What was 4.75? Oh, it doesn't tell me. Ah well, we'll find out. October was an average of 4.1, pretty good, and May was not my favourite because it was an average of 3.33, and I think that's the month I read the book that my grandfather recommended me, which I've forgotten the name of now, The Slap. And I remember really not liking The Slap. At least that's the month I finished it. The most pages I read was in January, and that is probably because I reread the Harry Potter series. Of course, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, really, that's the most shelved. Again, you'd think the first book in the series, or maybe the last, would be the one most listened to. Order of the Phoenix is probably my least favourite Harry Potter book. Very interesting. By the way, just because I like Harry Potter does not mean I agree with everything that J.K. Rowling says, for the record, and I listen to all these books through a library, so as not to give any royalties. Not that it really makes a difference when she's got that much money, but that's a different matter. How to Make a Million Before Lunch? Yes, I'm the only user who has that one, and that's why it doesn't have a cover of it, because I didn't have a picture of the cover. Highest rated was The Deathly Hallows. Interesting. Personally, I would probably rate the third or the fourth Harry Potter book the highest, but I rated this one 4.25, so fair enough. You explored the works of 53 new authors. That's incredible. Amazing. 14 of the books you read were part of a series. Obviously, 7 of those were Harry Potter. I don't know what the other 7 were. And I'm very curious about that, because I don't feel like I read any other series. Oh, I did read the duology, which was the Arthur one, but I think that was it. Revisited a total of 7 books. That was all the Harry Potters, obviously. Will it let me click? I finished all the books. That's good. Oh, that one will let me. Oh, and Jews Don't Count, that was the only other one, because I read the first Harry Potter book in December, so it doesn't count for this year. So can I see the 14 books? So now everything's working. Oh! There's a sequel to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I'm gonna have to read that. Quidditch, fair enough. Once and Future, that was the Arthur one. Alice, fair enough. Oh! The Christmas Visitor was a number 2 in a series, didn't know that. And The Tao of Pooh, I think I did know that there was another one of those. Oh, and of course, When We Were Very Young, fair enough. I didn't own any of the books I read this year, that's correct. 2023 at a glance. Oh, this is going to take a while. Why do I have the 5th Harry Potter in there twice? That doesn't make sense. I forgot about so many of these books. I forgot that it was this year that I read them. I think, was Day of the Accident one that I really liked? There was one that I loved. I think it was that one. Oh no, The Passenger, I think it was. Although, to be fair, there were a bunch that I really enjoyed. I love how many non-fiction books there are. It makes me very happy. I loved Ghosted. That was a really good book. There's a lot of books I really enjoyed. Okay, let's see the stats. Okay, main mood, emotional. Followed by reflective. Yes, I marked reflective for a lot. And light-hearted. Adventurous, mysterious, dark, informative. Okay, and then some of those others as well. The pace, yes, most of them were medium. I had a couple fast, a couple of slow. Most books were between 300 and 499. There were a couple, well, about half that were under 300. Audiobook length, most of them were, or about half of them were between 8 and 16 hours. There were a couple that were 16 hours plus and a couple that were 8 hours or less. Here we go. Do you know what? It's not as much as I was expecting, but it's still a huge improvement from any other year, so I'm really happy with that, and we'll just probably keep... Actually, I don't know if I'll ever read as many non-fiction books as I did this year. I can't speak. But then I read 74 books this year, so 32% of 74 is still a significant amount. So it's not showing in my genres. It's not showing non-fiction because it splits it up between like politics and essays and sociology. So that's interesting. Race, religion, etc. True crime? What was a true crime? Ah, fair enough. Yeah, these... It makes sense to me that these were my top ones. Literary. Which books did I read that were literary? Fair enough. Okay, I wouldn't expect Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Where the Crawdads Sing, fair enough. Surprised by Ordinary People. I can barely remember Times Squared. I'm surprised by quite a few of these. Not all of them, but some of them. Tags I didn't... yeah. Format, 88% audio as expected, 4% digital and 8% in print. Most read authors. Oh yeah! Why did some of these not come up in my most read authors before? I don't know. All of them were English. We saw this already. Average we saw as well. Can I see my 2-star reading? Oh, haha. Yeah, that's fair. And my 4.75 star? Maybe that was The Kite Runner or something. Oh, Atomic Habits, fair enough. And what about this one? 4.5. Anthropocene reviewed, very fair enough. Jews don't count, okay, right. And I think that's everything. So, that is my Storygraph reading wrap-up. I'm sorry, I have just got distracted by a gorgeous view outside my cabin, so I'm gonna have to show you. Let me stop this recording. I don't know if you can see that, but that's pretty cool. Very nice little place. So, as I said, there will be a non-fiction book ranking going up, or maybe it's already gone up, I don't know which video is going up first. And I'm gonna try and do that just based off my memory, rather than based off my star ratings that I gave them. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the books I read. I cannot believe I read 74. That's insane. I don't think I'm ever gonna get higher than that. That's blown my mind, and in a very good way. I'm very proud of that. And that I read so many non-fictions this year. I'm really, really proud of that as well. Anyway, that's all from me. I'm very happy about everything, really. And I will see you all in the next one. Although I did completely forget that I had reread the Harry Potter series this year. But then it was January, so fair enough. All right, well, goodbye.